At the very end of your street, is there a house that everyone just knows to avoid? A place wrapped in rumors and whispers, with a history no one can quite remember, but a feeling no one can forget. For the residents near Maple Creek Lane, that house was number 13. A dark, skeletal structure slumped at the end of the road, a place people said had been empty for decades. But empty wasn't always the right word, because sometimes, long after midnight, when the rest of the world was asleep, a single, solitary light would flicker on an upstairs window, casting a sickly yellow glow before vanishing just as suddenly. This was the kind of story that was pure gold for Sammy. He was a college student, an aspiring filmmaker with a growing YouTube channel dedicated to exploring forgotten places. He thrived on the thrill of peeling back the layers of local legends and showing his audience what was really there or what wasn't. When he heard about house number 13, his eyes lit up. His friends, of course, tried to talk him out of it. They told him the stories they'd grown up with. Stories of strange noises, of shadows moving behind the grimy windows, of a feeling of being watched that clung to you for days after just walking past. They warned him, Sammy, some places are left alone for a reason. But Sammy just laughed. He waved his hand dismissively, his camera bag already slung over his shoulder. It's just myths, guys, he said with a confident grin. Perfect for a video. The scarier the legend, the more views I get. He saw it as a challenge, an opportunity. He had no idea it was an invitation. The night he chose was thick and moonless. The air was still and heavy, amplifying every small sound: the crunch of leaves under his feet, the distant bark of a dog, the thumping of his own heart. He checked his watch. The glowing numbers read to 13 a.m. A fitting time, he thought with a smirk, standing before the decrepit wooden door of house number 13. The paint was peeling like sunburnt skin, and a deep crack ran from top to bottom. Like a jagged scar, he raised his phone, the modern device looking alien against the ancient wood. He was live streaming, his face illuminated by the screen, narrating his every move to the viewers watching from the safety of their homes. "All right, everyone," he whispered, his voice a mix of excitement and feigned bravery. "Here we are, the infamous number 13. Let's see if the ghosts are home." He lifted his phone to take a picture, the flash momentarily blinding him as it cut through the darkness. He looked at the screen. The first photo showed just the door, cracked and weathered. Nothing out of the ordinary, see? Just an old door, he said to his audience. He took another flash. He squinted at the screen. This time, something was different. Deep within the shadows, visible through a grimy pane of glass next to the door, there was a blur, a faint, indistinct shape. A trick of the light, he told himself. Dust on the lens. He took a third photo, his hand a little less steady this time. Flash. His breath caught in his throat. The shadow was no longer a distant blur. It was clearer, closer. It had the definite shape of a tall, thin figure, standing just on the other side of the glass. It had no features, just a solid black silhouette against the deeper black of the house's interior. A cold dread, heavy and real, began to seep into him, pushing aside his earlier confidence. The stories, the warnings from his friends, they all came rushing back. And then he heard it. Tap, tap, tap. It was a soft, rhythmic sound. It wasn't the wind or a branch scratching against the house. It was deliberate, and it was coming from inside. Knocking. Someone or something was knocking on the door from the other side. Sammy froze. His body rigid. His mind raced, trying to find a logical explanation. A squatter. Another explorer. But the house was supposed to be sealed, abandoned for years. The knocking was the only sound in the dead quiet night, each tap a hammer blow against his sanity. Before he could process, before he could even think to run, a low groan of tortured would fill the air. The cracked door, the door that had been sealed by time and neglect, began to swing inward, slowly, invitingly. A wave of musty, cold air washed over him, carrying a smell of damp earth and something else. Something sweet and rotten. From the oppressive darkness within, a voice emerged. It wasn't a shout, but a low, raspy whisper that seemed to come from the very walls of the house, echoing in his soul. "You're late," the voice rasped, a chilling, patient tone. "We've been waiting for you." Terror, absolute and paralyzing, finally took hold. Sammy's fingers went numb. His phone, his only connection to the outside world, his only light, slipped from his grasp. It tumbled to the worn wooden porch, the screen facing up. As he stood there, frozen in the doorway, a final flash went off. The phone, on its own, captured one last image. The next morning, the police were called by a concerned neighbor who had seen Sammy's abandoned car. They found his phone lying on the porch of house number 13. The front door was wide open, revealing nothing but an empty, dark hallway. They reviewed the footage from his live stream, which had abruptly cut off. The last video file they found was the one he was filming as he approached the house. It ended with a terrifying shot of the door swinging open into blackness. But that wasn't the strangest part. The most chilling discovery was the metadata of that last, automatically captured photo. The date stamp beneath the file didn't read that morning or the night before. It was dated for the day after tomorrow. And Sammy, he was never seen again. The house at the end of the street is quiet now. Waiting, the light in the window hasn't been seen since. Perhaps it doesn't need to be. After all, it finally got what it was waiting for. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy diving into the unknown, make sure to follow for more mysteries.